Hello and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by fellow Dudley boy Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that went down on last night's show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Dynamite, Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have wrestler interviews on occasion, and those occasions are happening now because they're filtering through from WrestleMania weekend, and one of them in particular is absolutely brilliant. We have wrestling roundtable discussions, we answer your burning wrestling questions, and we host a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. Michael Hamflett, what are your broad thoughts on this week's edition of AEW Dynamite?
Loved it. Just loved it. My thoughts are that I continue to love the plouts that have got us to Double or Nothing. Yeah? Is that anything? I was looking at this card after this Dynamite, this pay-per-view card coming up this weekend, and I was into all of it. And I think it's key to look at that card on a Thursday, because by a Saturday, it's doubled. It's doubled in size for some reason.
Saturday, go away.
Who are all these wrestlers that went added to these 6 additional matches? Yeah. As it stands right now, everything like on this card has significant emotional value.
Yes.
And that's the best you can ask for.
Yeah. Even like, so something like FTR versus Garcia and McGuinness is an example, right? Outside of the incredible Hangman Ospreay build, which we'll get to. That has been plotted beautifully. And they've done some really hot angles built around like a really great match. Like that's proper AEW stuff. Even something like Kazuchika Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey, for me, is just a little bit more than, I'm not doing cartwheels about it. I'm not like, can't wait for that match. I mean, it'll be great. But even though it's
You're not putting the cart before the horse wheel.
No, I'm not doing that. Even though it's a very basic build and, you know, there's always the risk that you're not going to get the full Okada experience. Because they've done such a fantastic job of introducing Speedball Mike Bailey into AEW, and he's such a wonderful fit. He's got that kind of wholesome, dorky stuff that AEW can lean into. It's a very basic match where Bailey hasn't been pinned, and he's been positioned in good, really good, strong matches and never been pinned. You've got a hot, viable character, so the storytelling or lack thereof doesn't really matter as much. But then you get
swung so much. You are putting over signings that you didn't want. And I am burying signings that I don't need.
Yeah,
that's such a. It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening
in front of our very eyes.
It is happening.
These are people. Speedball Mike Bailey, Ricochet, and you did it in such a diplomatic and reasoned way. Are you like, no,
thank you. But then
they're all adding value.
Yeah, I love Speedball Mike Bailey now.
Yeah,
I love watching him. He's so awesome in the ring. Like I'm tolerating so far that dorky charisma, which I kind of can get into at times. But yeah, Double or Nothing looks great. And if you want us to lavish further praise on the build and hype, we will be previewing that tomorrow, all going well. But for now, we are reviewing AEW Dynamite, which was live from the Rio Rancho Event Center in Hot Dog, Jumping Frog, Albuquerque, Hot Dog, New Mexico. And we begin with, and I've actually made some notes. Yeah. I've actually made some notes, so you might just see me looking at a laptop for 2 minutes, but it's better, I think, than me just scatterbrained being a terrible Wilborn. So I'm going to be a very basic, dry Wilborn, I think. So let's just get to that. Okay. So we begin with Will Ospreay, Hangman Page going face to face. Tony Schiavone introduces each man and leaves them to it. Ospreay begins with a peace offering, handing over a beer to Hangman Page. He plays it innocently. Is it a friendly gesture or potentially a low-key bid to crack his psyche? Ospreay is petitioning Tony Khan to make their own final the main event because what is ultimately at stake is too enormous. And oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Do they do an almost seminal job of making that the case with this absolutely electrifying promo exchange? Ospreay talks about how much he wants it after previously talking about how well qualified he is to be the actual main character of the company, which is the core of their prior face-to-face. This one gets a little bit more personal. This one is a talk of like personal ambition and what it really means for them as human beings. Not candidates to be the top star for a wrestling promotion, but what it really means to them as human beings to finally set free that AEW World title, which feels in this moment like the biggest thing in all of professional wrestling. He talks about how much he wants it. He says he shows up jet lagged to hell with zero sleep. Basically, this guy lives his life in the sky, Will Ospreay, with these ridiculous commutes that he does because he's allowed to stay at home. Telling you now, from personal experience, long-haul transatlantic flights, that's more of a grind than doing a 3-minute house show match, which I don't know about, but I'm fairly certain I'm doing regardless. But he shows up, he's jet-lagged, no sleep, then he says, ring the bell, and he comes alive because he's Will goddamn Ospreay. He needs the belt because he desperately needs to take it to Forbidden Door at the O2, which is half an hour away from his house. He wants to reward everyone who supported him as a young, immature man who's finally grown up by wearing the title. He also wants to show his 6-year-old son that the sacrifices are worth it. This little kid has his dad leaving behind every single week. That's the nature of the job. It's part of the job, innit? You know?
Yeah.
It's a part of the game, innit? And that is part of the game. And Will Ospreay, it breaks his heart to do it, but if he can get that world title and show it to his son, the sacrifices will all be worth it. In a wonderful touch, this has just felt so real and beautiful and personal. He says, Hanger wants it. Ospreay's voice cracks at this point. I want it more, he says. Hangman says, you might want it. It's a good professional accomplishment for you, and et cetera, et cetera. I need it. I'm sick of staring. Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Hangman Page is like a poet. He's like a screenwriter at his best. He's unbelievable. He says, because he paints such an incredible image of everything that goes on in his interior life. And because he paints this picture of his interior life, he just becomes this well-rounded, credible, believable, professional wrestling character. He says he's sick of staring out of the window at Christmas, missing his son's life, even when he's even when he is physically present in it, because he's staring out the window, waiting for somebody, that somebody being Swerve Strickland, to come back. He knows really deep down never will. He wants his wife, after all these years of just being completely lost, failed professional life, just paints this really grim portrait of the Hangman Page household. Obviously, it's not real. He's performing as a character, but the performance is so great that you just get it. Hangman Page is a goddamn genius. And he says he wants his wife to see the man that she married all over again. Ospreay questions the man that Page has become. Will wins fairly. Page hasn't really been doing that recently. Page says, will fighting fair really get it done against Mox? Ospreay at this point really shows some vulnerability and fear and doubt, and he says he doesn't know. He hasn't beaten Mox yet, and he's tried twice before, but Hangman Page has, and if Will Ospreay beats Hangman Page, he holds the key to eventually doing it and doing what needs to be done. 2 seconds. I've just lost my notes. It was going quite well. Ospreay says, look, the kids don't look up to Page anymore. They'll look up to me. And he runs through all the names that he's beaten, Kenny Omega et al. And he describes himself, and you've got to deliver this well, and God damn it, he does, as the best effing wrestler in the world. This feels white hot, enormous, ultra credible, the biggest showdown of the year. He says, meet me in the desert for a shootout, Will says. They each drink the beer, which Hanger has already sipped as his history was questioned, and they each retreat up the ramp, the trophy dividing them in this absolutely wonderful, wonderful shot. I'm going to say a few things on this before handing over to you. Yeah. This was, in my opinion, the very best face-to-face seen in all wrestling, other than Cody and Punk. It might, in fact, be better than that because this is built to a match on pay-per-view where Cody and Punk didn't. Inexplicably, it would turn out after all this.
This Sunday.
Yep, this Sunday.
This week.
I'm desperate to see this match now. I already knew it was going to be great. I've already loved the way that they've booked each Owen Hart Cup tournament. An absolutely fantastic string of pro wrestling television has reached its emotional apex, in my opinion, in this opening segment of Dynamite. Wonderful, wonderful verbal performances from both men. I thought Will Ospreay did an unbelievably tremendous job But at this point, is it unbelievably tremendous, or is he just established as one of the best promos in the entire industry? This is just maybe the best way to describe this is yet another stellar week for him as the ace candidate, the top guy in waiting, the world champion elect. And then Hangman Page, Jesus Christ, I didn't think he would have a comeback for how emotional Ospreay's words were. His was just as good, if not better, quite frankly. Like that use of imagery was so potent, so well done. This is just absolutely masterful stuff all around. Total, massive, major match drama. If, in fact, Ospreay hadn't mentioned at the start of the promo, this is going to main event, basically, is what he said. He's asked Tony Khan, the stakes are too big. Him just explicitly saying the stakes are this big was kind of enough, but then he illustrates just how much this means to both men and how much it means for AEW, and for once, it doesn't come off as this raw stuff whatsoever. Yeah. It's way too personal. It's way too well delivered. What I loved about this is it's massive. AEW hasn't felt as big as this. Even playing in front of bigger pay-per-view crowds, it hasn't felt as weighty. The gravity to this was amazing. It hasn't felt as massive, as life-affirming, as crucial as you can't miss Sunday. You absolutely cannot miss Sunday, because not only is this amazing match going to happen, not only are you going to glimpse at who the new main character in AEW is, but the heightened stakes that they each articulated so brilliantly was, I cannot wait to watch not only who wins, because the Death Riders thing's done, and it was never good, and I want to see that come to an end. What the hell happens to the person who loses this match?
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, this was AEW. This was the feeling without goddamn ever saying it. Thank you. This was a wonderful, I didn't know how much I needed it, throwback to the days when it would be kind of one and done on pay-per-view, and whoever loses, like, you have to form a stable. You have to go through a crisis. You have to crawl up a mountain to get back to prominence in AEW, because it truly is wins and losses matter, all or nothing drama. The idea of Hangman losing this and how he gets restored, it's captivating television before it even happens. It's captivating television before this match of the year contender even happens. And as I was saying before I drifted off, if Will Ospreay hadn't have said at the start of this promo, we're main eventing, guys, it's too important, surely everyone afterwards would have said, this has to main event. This is too awesome.
Yeah. The best thing about this, it's probably not the best thing because there's about 10 best things, but one of my favourite things after this was considering exactly what you just said. Like, what next for the loser? I said it, and I wasn't being flippant at the time, but it was an exaggeration, but I meant it broadly. Last year, we had a bit of fun with it, and you kind of joked at, like, Hamflett's a million things. That's a wrestling company operating at its best.
Yeah.
When you think about the million things, right? This was seminal for those reasons, this promo
was. This is incredible, this.
Because
Oh my God.
February 2020, summer 2021, pick your moment, whatever. AEW in that form was knocking out Seminole on such a regular basis that, yes, we took it for granted, but yes, we also came to expect it because there was just...
We also got grief for being too mawkish about it as well, we should say that.
Yeah, before we were then reasonably critical, and then we were griefed for being too critical. That's how this game goes. But, like, there was so much in the way of Seminole back then that you could scarcely believe it. You could scarcely believe so many characters.
I described it once as a masterpiece factory, and it was not hyperbolic in the least.
And I don't need that out of matches. I need it out of the things I'm allowed to imagine. I need it out of thinking about the loser. Like, nobody can lose this match, which is the perfect setting for a pay-per-view main event. Nobody can lose. Yeah. And when a company's in form and when a company is reestablishing a bit of faith in its processes, like AEW has done in 2025, like, this promo would hit, right? But if you drop this promo in 2024, you don't have quite enough trust in the process to think that whoever loses has the story. Now you have ultimate faith in a Hangman Page or Will Ospreay's next several months. And that is one of the things that makes this the most captivating, because you're considering one of these men will go on to hopefully take that belt out of a briefcase. You are considering maybe more so what the next 6 months looks like. And you are looking at the other characters and thinking, right, well, so does Hangman go back to Swerve Strickland? Does he enter Blood and Guts? What does Will Ospreay do, having seemingly become invincible and now facing like an almost, like, I don't think this is a lofty comparison, facing like a WrestleMania 39 Cody Rhodes scale defeat? Yeah. If he loses here, like, he cannot. Yeah. Like, there is no version of him losing, but then what if he does? Yeah. What happens to Will Ospreay then? So the stakes, they like have been gradually elevating and then reach their fever pitch here. was, again, we put Go Home and Fallout in our title.
The Go Home show for Double or Nothing.
For podcast bullet point.
Yes, that's what Will One does.
Because wrestling has ultimately, in the same way we now do, wrestling has kind of abused that a little bit. It's a privilege that you get to say that because they'll always run in monthly pay-per-views or PLEs. So they're like, but they don't necessarily book the shows to that anymore. This was that. This was just when you think, we talked about yesterday in the preview, the only thing I could think of was for them, based on this idea they'd come up with of Ascension versus Redemption, I thought the only thing left to discuss was like their own version of what it is to be the best.
Yeah.
What it is to be the champion. And that was like the first thing they sort of ticked off, really.
Yeah.
Ticking off what it is to be the best and what it is to be the champion was them getting started. Hangman Page as the, like, I much prefer Hangman Page, the main character, as a narrative device than a Twitter talking point.
Yeah.
I pushed back a little bit on it as a Twitter talking point because I always felt like a wrestling company shouldn't really have one.
You
like,
grew up on the Fed.
Yeah. Like
Hogan, Austin.
No. Like,
no.
I think there's a difference between a top star and a main character. I think the main character is the belt.
Yeah.
More than a person.
All right,
and then
okay.
the person that wears that belt kind of becomes its top star.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like pushed back on that.
Well, like a sporting purist, aren't you?
It's kind of me. It's kind of like WWF, the king of sports. That's what the logo has always said. Like, so, yeah. So I pushed back on it a little bit. But as a narrative device, I absolutely love it. As an addition to this world title, especially when the world title is not even visible. The main character thing becomes this visible entity that these two men want to fight for. And Ospreay being a believer in it just adds to his stock. It's Cody's finishing the story.
Yeah.
Ospreay now is in that exact sort of headspace as a wrestler. The thing I have to do, because it's the only thing left for me to do, is this. Like, I didn't realize just how born for this I was until I was in it, and I now have to have it.
Yeah.
And then Hangman Page back in 2020, when he had nothing left, was staring at like the broken mirror, and they used that visual so effectively back then. He basically presented Will Ospreay with a broken mirror. Will Ospreay talks about his home life and how the relationship with his child changes in the quest for a title. Hangman Page presents the exact same thing, but the hideous version.
Yeah.
Like the home life and the broken relationship with the kid because of the pursuit of glory and whatever. I love that they were able to have this like dark mirroring of one another from end to end. What starts off with the beers, then goes on to the belt, then goes on to the kids at home. And we're the same, you and I, but we're not.
And
but it can only be one.
Yeah.
It can only be one. It's like there's a Rock and Austin element. There can be only one World Wrestling Federation
and the beer
champion.
was probably not an accident. It had a couple of meanings as well.
This was I hope that they see this all the way through and AEW's run continues throughout 2025, because I want to look back at this and hold it aloft with Kenny and Page and Punk and MJF.
Yeah.
Because that's what it felt like I was watching.
Yeah, it felt like I can't think of a better or more well-built number one contenders match than this following this promo, because the idea is people can't separate Hangman Page and Will Ospreay in terms of who's the best, who should be dethroning Moxley. There's been, they did a great job as well. Was it on Collision or Dynamite last week where they did like a Vox Pop for like fans outside of the building? Like, who's it going to be? Who's going to win this great 50-50 match, Sport.
Yeah.
And this idea as well of they are different wrestlers, but both like world class. That's one thing, and that's maybe at some point all you need. But this idea of they have very similarities, just this idea of the professional and personal life. There are so many parallels to draw between them. They are so great in the ring. They've both had certain big failures on the path, like Ospreay got beat off Swerve, Hangman Page, had those 2 years. Just they are literally at this point inseparable. It's almost like irresistible force, immovable object stuff. Like, I suspect Ospreay is going to win, but my God, after this, that match is going to be dripping with intrigue and just packed with drama.
And just one more thing that is sort of like indirectly related to this. This week, there was some discussion, and it was hopeful, I think, and positive broadly, about Darby Allin maybe still being the guy after all, because now the Everest thing is completed, pending that he gets down safely. I know that's sometimes just as hard as getting up there in the first place, but assuming that he gets down safely, immediately a lot of people were very willing to drop him back in the picture. And my gut instinct watching this promo was like, you absolutely can't do this. It has to be one or the other. They have made it so it absolutely has to be. And to just draw on your point about the comparison between Punk and Cody, because I was doing that thing as well. I know they say comparisons are the thief of joy, but what about when it's all joy? Because I was just comparing two things I loved. And I was trying to decide, did I love this more than this year's Cody Punk? I think I might have done, because of the excitement of...
You're getting the actual match.
I'm getting it now. It's not just like another thing that I have to wait another year for. I was thinking then, well, if it's WWE and I'm watching this and it's Cody Punk and I'm loving it, and then there's like a Jey Uso or another guy, another babyface I love just as much, I'm buzzed because it's just more permutations, it's just more possibilities. Yeah. And I flipped from thinking, it has to be these two. Do not drop like Darby Allin into this, not right now. But then I was like, but then why not? Because if there's a third babyface who is as beloved and has achieved something. You use this exact wording in your brilliant, by the way, recap of that. Like, whoever loses this, what did you say? Can you remember? You said whoever loses this has to crawl up a mountain to get back to where they were. Darby Allin's just done that in a very different way from his own
real way.
Defeat to John Moxley and his own rock bottom ultimately. Like, if you were to bring back literal Everest conqueror Darby Allin, he's got his own quite weighty, hefty speech that he could make to drop himself back in as, I think I want to get that belt out of that briefcase. Sorry, lads.
Yeah.
My thing's good too.
Yeah.
Like, let's have a look at that, because AEW have presumably thought about that. Yeah. The AEW that I want to believe in here has presumably thought, yeah, but like, what about Darby Allin when he's back in the mix?
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Yeah.
Imagine these two thinking, this is what we want, right? The end of the world on Sunday. Like,
it is this time. It really feels like it.
Like it is the end of the world. So they will be entitled to have that breather, to have that moment of, I've beaten this man, now I get my title shot. And then Darby Allin's skateboard says, well, I know you're pretty knackered off your end of the world and you need to get yourself rebuilt and you've got your title shot all in. Like, good for you, but I actually think I'm the one to do this. That's what you want.
Yeah.
A selection headache of top babyface is the Booker's dream.
And this is all so powerful and so well done that you kind of forget that Moxley's title reign's not been very good.
Yeah.
At all. Mm-hmm. It really feels like, because the strength of this material is so great that you are willing in the theater of your mind to kind of just, and it's maybe not the correct thing to do to like lower your standards, but I was pretend Moxley's this big bad really, as opposed to this guy who would just be a relief if he doesn't have the title, you know.
These two are putting him over like he is.
I know,
that's what matters the most.
And that's what
like,
matters, I guess, as well. I could talk for hours about this. There's another show, the rest of the show rather, to get through. I want to say one more thing. This officially functioned to build the main event of Double or Nothing, which goes down this Sunday. What an unbelievable soft build it was to the All-In main event as well.
Yeah.
Because my thought was, after all this, like, pouring out your soul, just wonderfully illustrating how much it means to you, and then this presumed 30-minute masterclass that's going to be really horrific in terms of the physical action. After all this, I mean, you can't slip. Yeah. You have to dethrone Mox after all this, and it's going to feel like, because there's the one good thing about booking this, is it uncharitable to call it a troll title reign?
No, I think that's what
you know what I mean. It's sort of like they know, it's like that cheap heat trolling adjacent stuff where it's like, we know it's not very good. We know it's not very good.
The reaction to the Cope Turkerino was to run it back.
Yeah.
That's kind of doubling down, isn't it?
Yeah. So the whole idea, well, not turned into anyway. The idea is turned into this deal where it's like, yeah, it's not very good, but if we keep doing it, you'll want it to end more. You know, we'll want it to end more.
Honky tonk Mox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like that. You should tweet that. You'll get some numbers. It might even get coined.
No, like a Mox fan account will just like
There's a few of them as well. There are a few of them. But like, after all this, like, that's the benefit of like, it sucks this, but I want it to be over, and I want to watch it when it is over. After all this last night, you kind of have to. But because it's kind of a cheat code to be like, the fans will come back and want to watch it. Like, you, deep down, you love to be annoyed by this, hence why people rise to trolls all the time and stuff. There's always the danger that they'll just go, actually, it's kind of working this.
Yeah.
It's kind of working, and they say the chase is better. Yeah. And Hangman Page knows that better than anyone. Mm-hmm. Like, All In might be unbearable, and they've done a great job of very gently telling you this in plain sight by booking the seminal build to another pay-per-view main event.
It's Double or Nothing preview stuff. I'm trying so hard to just
stop talking
because we've got it. I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
If Ospreay loses, they've got to wait till all in 2026.
Yeah.
They've got to make him wait another. I think you have to do an entire year cycle.
Yeah.
This
can't just win it at like World's End.
No. And if all in 2026 is Wembley or back in London, that much we know. That's what they're doing, isn't it? They're making you wait one full. That again makes me think of the Cody comparison. Yeah. They think they've got 12 more months in this guy as the top babyface elect. I'm like so stressed, and that's with Hangman Page winning, and that's good, and that's its own cool story, you know. Yeah. So this is the stuff. This is the real stuff. This
is the real stuff.
This is the dance.
This is every time I want to do Heyman, I want to swear, so I'm just not going to do that. And then there's the rest of the show. The first hour of which, by the way, Broad Thoughts was just unbelievable, and then it kind of tapered off. But that means we're back in 2021, baby. Yeah. That happened more than you'd like to remember. First match of 3.
Loved that, by the way.
Let's go for the live audience. If you're doing a collision,
brilliant.
If you're doing a collision, and because people who like AEW like wrestling, obviously, but you can do a Dynamite like this, which was so cool and refreshing, by the way, knowing that you're not shortchanging the live crowd or ripping them off, because you're going to get loads of action on Collision as well, so you get the best of both worlds. Remember that song? The Fed song, Best of Both Worlds?
No. Oh, yeah, for the brand split thing when they were we're just going to put all the wrestlers everywhere now.
Yeah. Well, best of both worlds.
Yeah. And it's all about tonight. Well, every night.
Yeah,
so what you're saying, you're doing a song. It's all fucking same.
Yeah. I tell you, I've heard Tonight by LCD Sound System, where they completely take the piss out of that conceit.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So the first of 3 matches is the Young Bucks and Jon Moxley versus Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Powerhouse Hobbs. I've prepared some notes, but I'm not very good at Wilborn at doing the recaps of the matches, and it's a Young Bucks match. There is simply too much content, and you would get bored of hearing it. So really, I'm doing you a favor here. So I've got highlights. The opening phase is Joe and Swerve double noping the Young Bucks, which was a really cool spot, and just generally kicking ass before the Bucks get the heat for a pretty long time. But I think it works for the match's advantage later on, even though it's one of those heat sequences where you're like, if you're from the UK or select international markets and you're watching it on Triller, you kind of know when, all right, they're in commercial because the commentators are babbling more crap than normal. It's a heat sequence. But this goes kind of on and on and on. I think by design, it's kind of, this heat sequence goes on for a while. There's a brief glimmer of a hope spot, but it kind of goes awry. Swerve Strickland does this backflip in tandem with Matthew Jackson, but he slips over, falls on his ass, and I'm going to put air quotes, luckily, because the spot called for him to catch a Matthew Jackson super kick anyway. Kind of made him look a bit of a geek inadvertently.
Was that on the headband? Did you see it was like a headband or a bit of someone's gear just flying?
I thought it was his shoe.
No, it was.
I know it wasn't.
But was that why it happened?
I don't know.
I need to watch it back because I saw the thing fly out of shot. And I was like, is that just really bad luck? Like he went to plant his feet and there was something underneath it and he's, whoa. Almost literal banana skin.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there, but ultimately, spoiler, Swerve got the fall, so he didn't look like a total loser in the end. I've written down in my notes as well, structurally, it's a lot more restrained and understated than a signature Bucks party match. In fact, they adhere to the idea that it can't break down immediately. Like there's legal men in the ring and all the rest of it. At one awesome point in this structural change to a Young Bucks match informs this great bit where Samoa Joe's patiently playing by the rules. It's not breaking down yet. We're going a little bit more classic in the way we're constructing this. And then he just gets in the ring, goes, nah, I've had enough of this. You're double teaming, you're cheating, and just breaks up a pin, gets a huge pop. That informs an awesome spree of Joe being cool when he finally has enough. And he hits the Bucks, who are like really great at creating movement from. Joe hasn't felt as much of a monster in quite some time as he did in this match, where he gets, I think it's Matthew Jackson with an Uranagi, like an idiot, but a fun one. Nicholas Jackson sprints into him, gets a scoop body slam. It's at this point that the match breaks down into some cool trios action. And then we get the finish, which is a subversion of the prior Bucks Swerve trios bout, because this time Swerve catches Matthew with a roll-up, the idea being that we are establishing the parity ahead of their big major matches across the summer, which will presumably incorporate Anarchy in the Arena. Well, it definitely will. Blood and Guts, because it is the season, and all in Texas. So we've had 2 major Swerve Bucks interactions. We are very much they're rolling each other up at this point. It's very 50-50. They are building the idea of they're both class, they're both winning. Who's really going to win out in the end? Do you want to talk about the match before the post-match?
I really like the match more than I expected to.
You know why? Because they did a lot. It didn't break down as quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that appealed more to your sensibilities.
It did, and it was really important in the agent to do that, because how else do you create separation from the match that features almost all of these guys on Sunday? Like, this wasn't, I wouldn't call this disciplined, but it was as disciplined as it needed to be.
Yeah.
For like protecting something. I had no real like hype for it, because my hype was isolated to the pay-per-view, and I thought they just did a nice job. The Bucks as always, but just did a nice job of constructing this as close to a straight-up match as it needed to be. My worry was that by the end of this, I wasn't actually going to be asked about seeing them again in Anarchy in the Arena, and instead the total opposite was true, because it helped birth a show-long storyline in which I couldn't wait to see more of them. So, like, I have to give kudos to like some dark art stuff in making me care more about seeing more of them. Yeah. Especially in AEW.
Less is more in AEW of all places. Yeah.
Well, like, especially in AEW where they're so on the nose with that often you get here's the wrestlers in their segment of the week. And then they disappear.
Yeah.
That's their way of doing less is more. But this was
increasingly not.
Far more creative way of doing it.
Yeah.
My cup of tea.
So in the post-match, we get an Anarchy in the Arena tease as the opposing teams file out. One by one, the heels got the advantage, and then so on and on it goes. I've written down that Kenny Omega looks particularly amazing here. Yet another one of those Omega cameos where, like, Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita, I'm starting to think might be an actual masterpiece. I loved it so much. Revolution it was at the time, where Kenny Omega looked like he could barely move. His selling, the diverticulitis and the post-surgery recovery had gotten to him that much. Watching him try and do his old offense and get it and then just get thwarted time and time again. He's selling, he's getting his guts crushed on the underside of a table, and he pulls out that power bomb. Like, I thought that match was great. Watching him is he Zippy Kenny Omega again? And he was just pretending by doing this world-class selling at Revolution. And yes, he was. I'm going to have to watch that match back now, because it felt at the time like, Kenny's really struggling to get this match. He's doing more understated work, and it's a lot slower and deliberately paced, but his brilliant selling is giving it this emotional component. He was rapid here.
I wonder about the Grand Slam tag match in that regard as well.
It's weird
that was very evident there, wasn't it?
Very evident that he did.
What if he was doing an Ospreay has lapped me story ahead of the next 6 to 8 months of Will Ospreay?
Maybe, because he did. I don't know if you here for the party match?
Not the recent one on Dynamite.
Yeah,
no, no, I wasn't.
He was part of that 8-man. He did a Terminator dive where it's like, hang on. Can you make it work on me, bro, again? Work on me, bro, again, because his penetration steps, he goes on this Snapdragon suplex spree. His penetration steps here, it's like he's just light switch going down to the ground, light switch, Snapdragon suplex, and he sprints to that ring. He just looks like the old Kenny again. Maybe he never went away, or maybe he's coming back. I don't know. The guy's a genius, and I'm kind of in love with him a little bit as well. So the idea here, and it's repeated a little bit too often throughout the night, is that Swerve goes, Kenny, no. Don't hit the V trigger or another Snapdragon or Matthew Jackson. I've got a better idea, but he withdraws a table from under the ring, sets it up. You're going to see, or you're meant to think you're about to see, a one-winged angel from Kenny Omega to Matthew Jackson through the table, but then Claudio Castagnoli gets Matthew Jackson off Omega's shoulders. Death Riders are sent scurrying, and then Samoa Joe grabs a mic, and yes, I would say it's one of the evils of modern wrestling, and then I remember the opening segment, but one of the things about modern pro wrestling is that for a promo to be remembered as amazing or iconic or whatever, you kind of have to stand in front of your opponent, talk to them for 15 minutes, and those are the only things that get remembered. I'm very, very forgiving of that format now, because the opening segment of this match happened. But Samoa Joe basically says, you bitches, you inch, we're going to get you at the end of the show. And it's amazing. Yeah. It's absolutely class. And as we say, probably too often on this bloody podcast, to be fair, between us, me and Hamflett are not the biggest Joe guys, really. We think he's great or was great or can be great, but maybe overstated. I thought he was class here. 10 seconds of just Joe being the Joe that a lot of people have in their minds for me.
I think that's exactly it. Like all night as well. Like the follow-up appearances. Like it was the flashpoint Samoa Joe.
Naked retention strategy. I think we're going to have differing opinions on this main event scene.
Okay. the opening promo was about selling a pay-per-view, so was the tease and the lack of delivery of Kenny Omega doing a one-winged angel on Matt Jackson's third table, because they've just told you it's happening at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
By the pay-per-view.
Or off the stage.
Yeah, by the pay-per-view, you're going to get that. Remember Stadium Stampede, how much you love that? Well, here's a new version of it, you're going to see it.
I've got a fantasy booking spot for Anarchy in the Arena.
Have you?
Well, I've got a few. I'm going to preview it, but I've got one.
Retention strategy's good, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything more to say on this?
Nah. Good, though.
Yeah.
Real
strong.
Full of praise for it.
Really good discipline. I liked it a lot. I also liked a lot, without quite loving, MJF officially joins the Hurt Syndicate. So in a brief backstage meeting, MJF is as happy as a pig in shit. Yeah, loved his smile all over his face. Absolutely great. He shakes the hand of the Hurt Syndicate's legal counsel before asking Smart Mark Sterling for some hand sanitizer right in front of him. Just right in front of him. In the ring, MJF...
They've got their best black and gold suits on, and he's got gold and black.
Yeah.
It couldn't look dafter in contrast.
It looked so like... It was great, this, because it was proper, like, rich person's version of class.
Yeah.
And it looked disgusting.
Mickey Carroll a lot all out.
Yeah. He looked like he had loads of money, no clue what to do with it, or looked like really nice, like way too far. But he would be excited, wouldn't he? And he is like a classless piece of trash deep down, is Maxwell Jacob Freeman. One of the funniest, you can tell this dude is dialed in all over again, because this is one of the funniest actual audible pop MJF lines I can remember in quite some time. You should watch this Dynamite if you haven't. It was really, really strong, and the comeback is on. The comeback is on. In the ring, MJF says that his mom once told him on the best day of his life, he'd marry the love of his life. That dumb bitch obviously never joined the Hurt Syndicate. I exploded.
Love that.
I can't say that to your mom. You can't say that to your mother.
Such a funny line that he's built a universe in which 15 to 20 years ago, his mom would know the existence of the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
Good stuff, isn't it? That beautiful contrast to like this recent thing that's just occurred in my life versus this experience that so many people go through. What a mom would say. Yeah. I love that. Pushing it again. Idiot.
His mother.
See, you never met Bobby Lashley, Mom?
Better than you.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend time with him than you. You dumb bit. You can't say that, but he said it. It's absolutely, I was absolutely in stitches, right? All caps, huge pop, written in my notes. Each member of the Hurt Syndicate signs the contract after MJF. Lashley agonizes over the decision. I thought he was going to point out a problem in the small print, but he signs it regardless. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of weirdness here, right? MJF and MVP talk trash about New Mexico, taking it in turns. MVP talks over MJF a lot. I'd say this was deliberate, maybe a way of letting MJF knowing his place in the hierarchy, but he's done it to Big Bill and Brian Keith before. I'm not sure if it's some kind of... I've made it in WWE before. I'm a really big star. I'm kind of excited about being able to express myself, and I'm just kind of asserting myself here.
The promo Billy Gunn?
A little bit, you know. Like, it's distracting. Again, you could appraise it and like, yeah, maybe it's a Hurt Syndicate thing. It's like, you're in, but you're not all the way in yet. You're like the fourth ranking member, and I'm kind of better at getting heat than you, and maybe all along they're going to tell the secret conflict, so when the dissension inevitably happens, as these things invariably go, people will buy it. But he did the exact same thing, MVP, to Big Bill and Brian Keith when they were building whenever that match happened.
Aye.
What's the deal here?
And he was like just burying them as well. I remember that. They were just like cut down lines.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, like one of them would get to say something that's wrestling. You got to take turns and let lines register. I know you are. What am I? Shut up, you like you kind of do that.
It's a bit much, I think.
Yeah,
it's a bit much. Anyway, I'll get your opinion on all of it after I've gone through the recap. And the Sons of Texas then interrupt. I knew you were going to say this, right? First disagreement of the day. The Sons of Texas interrupt. Dustin says he and Sammy have been there since day one. Double or Nothing will not be a walk in the park, but they've been to hell and back and lived to tell the tale. I've described this as a trademark great Dustin promo, recycled, but who cares? You can say the same things every week from me. I just love Dustin Rhodes, me. Jump on me and try it if you like hurting people. He says, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on the Sons of Texas. You're not.
I'm bored, brother. I thought Dustin Rhodes came off as a phony faker here. I thought he just... You talk about cowboy. I'll tell you which cowboy he is, Sidge. Woody from Toy Story, because he just pulls the string every goddamn time.
It's the same, innit?
There's a snake in my boot, and at the pay-per-view on Sunday, like, who cares, man? Like,
I evidently do.
Yeah, I'm glad for you. I will say this, right? We didn't make the Double or Nothing reference, but we did say MJF has this 6-year history.
In which Dustin Rhodes did touch on. He says he hates his guts.
And so does Sammy. That Dustin and Sammy weren't just pulled out of a hat.
Yeah.
Like Tony Khan.
As opposed to literally every other title challenger for the Syndicate so far.
Like Tony Khan looks upon the division like he loves his, that happened on this show, or that, like, he remembers his own continuity. Like now, when he's in form, he remembers his continuity. And like, this was we kind of pointed out yesterday, this is a point of choice now that MJF's joined. This is nice overlapping stuff that when MJF happens to be joining the Hurt Syndicate, they've found themselves fighting two people that MJF has loads of history with, and it's kind of baked into AEW's DNA.
Also a little bit deft.
Yeah. However,
you're bored of Dustin Rhodes.
Horrifically so. Like, I find it lame and dry.
It's a little bit southern for your Titan taste as well, isn't it?
That is a great take, sir. Yeah. Like, get away with it. Well done, you're hard. Like, and also, you kind of don't work me, bro. You losers, like there. I know they have to put themselves over in order to make the defeat mean something when the Hurt Syndicate.
Undefeated as Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, mate.
I don't try and educate me on their Ring of Honor record. So I've watched everything they've done.
What's your favorite title defense so far?
Oh, the Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Texas, bro. God, that's Chris Jericho 2000 patter.
Probably,
and you know it.
Probably
the worst thing I've ever said to you. That I apologize.
I would say in terms of their tag matches, I'd probably have to go with the never mind the title defenses. I'm banging at the next one. Like, I can't wait to see what they do when they lock it up with the Hurt Syndicate.
You said that, but you didn't like the segment building towards it, so that's a lie.
Probably the match they had against Kingdom. Is that anything?
Let's have a look. My favourite, of course, not necessarily a title defence, it was more of a proving ground situation, was against the Frat House, Cole Carter and Griff Garrison.
I like that one.
But that's all world title matches I've just said. So what's your favourite title defence?
It's for me, because if you like Dustin Rhodes promo so much, what you'll have understood is that, like, life is a proving ground, which is why I like that match too. Yeah. Like, that was kind of what he was trying to say, really. Like, he wasn't talking about defending the Ring of Honor tag belts because they're not on the line on Sunday.
Yeah, but I'm still asking the question though. Personally, like, I'm just, off the top of my head,
spitballing.
Off the top of my head, I was really, really high on the
one that I'm reading off my screen right now.
The double bull rope match at Final Battle 2024 against MXM Collection. You're a fan of that?
Didn't mind it.
It's funny because it didn't happen. It was actually against the Righteous.
Oh, well,
that's why I didn't mind it. Yeah.
Why make the matches in your head?
I was thinking about when they competed, all caps, with the Crew just to get the shot.
So you got
that was only on Collision 2 days ago, Sidge.
Yeah, but wasn't it title defense?
If you don't recall.
Yeah, it wasn't title defense though. In fact, it was like
basically
it was the opposite. It wasn't a title defense. It was actually the opposite. So I don't know where you're going with this. It was a chance to compete for another set of tag team titles.
I don't know where any of this is going. I just thought this promo was real drape crap.
There's no winners, yeah, lads.
No,
there's no winners. You're both losers.
Oh, well, I outwitted him. So I've won. We've established this.
I win.
I don't. You've got me banged to rights. I don't have a lot of time.
All your base will belong to Sidgwick. So
that's for the younger ones. That's a bit of internet fun.
So I mean, I just like Dustin. I like it when he says these cool, I'm grizzled and doomed things. And I did write down recycled, but who cares? Evidently, Michael Hamflett cares. So
I liked it when they beat the Righteous on October 31st.
Yeah,
nailed it. Well done.
It's good booking for the tag title match.
It is. It's like nice
booking.
history and all the rest of it. And we'll preview why I think it'll be a big success of the night shortly. We go backstage with Kazuchika.
Hang on, they got friggin' 4 stars for a match against Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Who doesn't?
I said the Kingdom. That was my first one. That's why I said it, because it was a 4-star match.
He should have believed in your convictions.
I did from the very beginning.
Yeah, but then he doubted them. Then he doubted them. We go backstage with Kazuchika Okada.
3.5 against the Righteous. That was as good as Punk Joe, was it, Dave?
You've never seen it, so don't be ignorant.
No, I was just saying what a big fan I was. I said that was as good as Punk Joe. You're not listening to the words I'm saying, Sid.
No, because I'm trying to get through my notes here. Backstage with Kazuchika Okada, he says that Speedball Mike Bailey won't call him out, so he will. Renee Paquette, the remarkable Renee Paquette, brings up Bailey not being pinned yet. Does that worry you? Okada says it's the first time for everything. Trust me, he says. He then exits the frame. He returns but says, trust me, again, not bitch. Can't tell, I've written down, if this is meant to be funny or Okada trying to play serious for once by subverting his catchphrase. Neither landed for me because I didn't know what he was going for.
All of them landed for me, and I found a third reason.
All right.
I popped big for the way that he pursed his lips about to say bitch and then didn't. I got a lot out of that.
So the idea is he kind of is wary of Speedball.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the crowd, I love a genuine crowd stand-up comedy pop.
Yeah. Okada's been getting them as well.
Yeah, you can hear it, and it's like...
Press the wrong button.
Yeah.
That was amazing, that.
Really like those. I also thought there was like a third thing of this. You know, like sometimes, and it's never with Renee, and I think they obviously make a point of doing that, but every now and then, Okada could be confused with calling the person he's talking to a bitch. He wouldn't dare do that with John Moxley's wife.
No.
So he even lifted that away. They've got an alliance loosely through the Young Bucks, but also a little bit of fear. So I think there was like 3 reasons to do it this way. So they could like just, in the event of removing any confusion, but I found it really funny.
All right.
Like I really, like...
Maybe I'll go back and watch
subverting his own stupid gag that everybody hates.
Yeah, I like it.
That I still like.
Not
yeah,
that
I'm still all right with.
Not for me, I like it.
Like On the Beach Okada is still somebody that I've got a bit of time for.
I think he's absolutely hilarious, and,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this one more goddamn time. Okay, he is the oldest late 30s guy of all time. When you look at how long his matches are and how hard hitting they were, you would get this weird sort of empty emulation of he's still Okada. He's your world champion in AEW, even though he's not Okada anymore. I like it. I think it's a good use of him because the real use of him is impossible.
Yeah.
That's my take on it, and it will continue to be my take. Second of 3 matches up next. It was Ricochet versus Anthony Bowens, who's doing the honors already. Not a great sign for his push whatsoever. The basic gist here is that it's a back and forth match. Little drama to it. Work is decent if familiar. It's like Collision on Dynamite is the short version of a story that mercifully was not too long. Anthony Bowens gains the upper hand with the Molly Whop deeper in the match, but Ricochet rolls to the outside, and there's another weird moment when the babyface manager of a babyface, Billy Gunn, attempts to cheat, and they say on commentary, I tried to cheat here, but Paul Turner noticed it.
Yeah.
He's a babyface, managing a babyface, apparently, even though I consider him a heel. And I've written down in my notes, maybe Gunn shouldn't be around to prevent something so questionable. Just a thought. The finish is that Ricochet attacks Bowens with Paul Turner preoccupied with a pair of scissors. Very cute, actually. But it's cut off after getting the win with the Spirit Gun by Mark Briscoe. Homework copied from the Omega spot as Ricochet is about to get Froggy bowed onto the stretcher, but you have to wait until the pay-per-view to see that. Yeah. You have to wait until the pay-per-view to see that. And then one more later in the night. You have to wait until the pay-per-view to see that. A bit of homework copied across Dynamite last night to make you think, oh man, I want to see that, so I should watch the pay-per-view.
Yes.
The match was just there. I'll never remember it in a million years.
Well.
Oh!
I might. Welcome to 2025's Hamflett's AEW Generosity Corner.
Have you got a bid for that? Not that we do bids?
No, not yet, because I'm not sure if it's going to remain a bit.
Okay.
We'll see if this tracks for the rest of 2025. What if...
I like to do the Twin Peaks pilot with bits, though, and just try and get it right first time in case you have to pick it up.
I wouldn't dare compete, mate.
Okay.
What if this
what
is...
have we become?
If AEW is so good again that... Remember when, God bloody bless you, you were trying harder than AEW, in fact, to get the Dark Order over.
Yes.
In 2019.
Yes, it's a source of deep regret.
But I admired it then, and I still admire it now in a way. What if this is right back to Golden Era stuff, and this is an out-front
There were golden scissors.
Well, once upon a time, we all talked about how the reason Ricochet introduces was maybe because he was going to be integral in the splitting up of the Acclaimed, and they didn't even revisit that.
No.
They just split. And in the end, it's become a cute gag rather than something that could have been a bit more meaningful.
I love the cuteness. That's part of that old, thoughtful AEW charm.
Never drop it if you don't have to, because there's always something, to appreciate from it. Have they already acknowledged that this Anthony Bowens thing is a non-starter? And the fact that this was such bad booking of a babyface and the babyface's supposedly babyface manager, that this brings about the splitting of Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn and the retooling of the 5-tool player, because it's already a miss. Because
it is already a miss.
It's already a miss. And who is the one character that got that exact experience and fixed everything? Ricochet.
Yeah.
And he's out there, and they're showing you here that, like, you know, this Anthony Bowens gimmick that you all hate, we're beating him on TV relatively easily.
It could have, when it could have been anyone.
When it could have been anyone, and we're making it
There's
clear.
Plenty of them on. There's loads of them on.
Loads of them over there.
Like,
on Saturdays. Like it just felt too pointed that it was Bowens. It's like, what are you doing to him? And then a bunch of people are like going online being like, oh, I don't think it's
could have been commander this.
Yeah, I don't think it's 5-tool player thing's working out. Well, maybe that's what AEW want you to be saying out loud now.
Yeah. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. We will see.
Or in 8 months, he's the 5-tool player and he's going to come good. But I'm going to have some faith in AEW.
I like Anthony Bowens as well.
Me
It gives
too.
me no real joy to like say his singles run is failing.
Exactly,
But it is. After it is announced that Anarchy in the Arena is now official for Double or Nothing, we go backstage with FTR and Stoke. There's nothing much to this. Stoke basically requests that Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness sign the Double or Nothing contract on Collision. Stoke does the Stock Hathaway. Stoke, don't know who that is, mate. Stoke does the old bitch ass about Daddy Magic, and he says he can turn up as well if he likes. Very nothing, but overall didn't care that this was just a nothing thing because the match has been built very well overall.
Yeah, it's Tony Khan's spreadsheet booking done right, really, isn't it? We have this match at the pay-per-view, and you've got to sell it a little bit on Dynamite, even though it's predominantly been a Collision program. Fine.
Yeah, just a decent bit of formatting, if you say so. Up next, we get the Mercedes Money. Sorry, where the frig are my manners? Sorry. The Mercedes Money.
Money.
Versus Jamie Hayter face to face. Don't laugh at me.
Not laughing at you. I'm just thinking about the fact that we've both got 2 children.
Oh, yeah, 2. 4 together. 4 combined.
Both doing like the Conan O'Brien Simpsons bit on the internet.
Yeah. Imagine our fathers.
7 and 9-year-olds combined.
Imagine our fathers, what they were doing when like our kids were when we were our kids' age.
Working enormously hard.
Yeah, like really hard.
Really physical.
Doing like proper work. Like
taxing jobs.
Because your dad worked at the...
He's a factory manager,
Yeah. My dad was used to paint the ships before Thatcher ruined that.
Yeah.
Like proper graft. Like kind of dangerous as well.
Yeah.
Just so you could do this instead.
Back breaking labour, like on ladders, all sorts.
Around
like
very dangerous machinery.
Yeah, like workplace accidents. Really,
health and safety wasn't great in the past.
No, as well, like people could have got really badly injured back in those days.
Money.
Versus Jamie.
Different times, different needs.
Thanks, Dad.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks for getting me the tapes when I was a kid so I could keep watching this.
And they did all that for the tapes, for this.
For this. So in a way...
The circle of life.
Yeah, it was all his mates at the factory that had Sky that got me the tapes. So had to have that job, didn't he? So Lion King stuff.
Mercedes Money and Jamie Hayter have a face to...
Be an idiot making content, my son.
Hakuna Matata is now live on YouTube. So thank you very much for that.
What a wonderful phrase.
We did it.
I don't know what we did, but it's done. Mercedes Money and Jamie Hayter go face to face. This one's in the ring on high chairs. I should have seen why there was a difference. This is fine. Hayter says that she's the underdog, but it suits her. She has been forged by her injury history and will crawl back time and time again. She says it means more to her than it does Moné. A bit of better prep might have made this feel like an inferior take on the opening segment, at least initially. Moné calls herself the Beyonce of women's wrestling, says that she sees through Hayter like the glass doll she is, and basically runs through her Wikipedia page of championships and accomplishments. As ever, this is a lot better when things get physical in a great spot. I love this so much, man. In a great spot, Moné, rattled by Hayter mentioning the loss of her New Japan Strong Women's title, blasts Hayter, who takes a wicked bump off the high chair on which she sat. This ruled, she went flying. For the third time, a heel scurries. Moné escapes the Hayter raid, the intent behind which was as awesome as ever.
The physicality between these two continues to be awesome.
Could be a show stealer, this.
Yeah, and it's been so beneficial, I think, for Jamie Hayter especially, because Mercedes Moné has been a form wrestler now for all of this year, realistically. And once upon a time, we would have fantasy booked a match like this, being as good
I
as it
did
could
as
be.
soon as Mercedes signed. This is the one for me. This was the one when she first signed.
And then 2024 happens, and suddenly
Forget about that.
Stock in both women drops to such an extent that you think, do I want to watch anything that they're involved in? Now we're back here, and this is what it should have felt. This is what it would have felt like if, like, Mercedes, when she walks out with WWE in 2022, immediately signs.
Yes.
Like, that's what we're back to there, which is such an achievement for them both. I love when people that are injury prone get described as being made of glass. I just really like that phrasing. Yeah. Like, my dad used to say about Michael Bridges, he's got spider's legs.
Spider's legs?
Spider's legs, because he was always getting leg injuries and made of glass whenever somebody would, like, get quite easily pushed to the ground.
Yeah.
And then they would suddenly be on a stretcher.
Yeah.
I just think there's a real delicate frailty
real
to that.
glass.
Made of real glass.
Made of real glass.
Cry me over, except do, because you're injured for several months.
Yes.
Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
She feels back.
Yeah.
Couldn't be a better time for her to feel back.
Indeed. I still think that she's... Every word I would use to describe her ability to cut a promo is a little bit backwards in terms of the old compliments. Like, she's very composed. Addiction's very good. She doesn't fluff her lines. She's one of those cut the promo in the mirror wrestlers. I'd like a bit more fire and a bit more. It's one of those where I feel bad because it's only recently where she's had so much mic time. She is a woman in AEW. You know, this doesn't really happen very often, and it's been happening more frequently of late, which is good. But I think I would like to see what the promos sound like in 6 months. They are very composed and competent for me.
I think
a bit more fire, a bit more emotion.
Are we seeing proper old-fashioned wrestling rub happening here? Because Jamie Hayter, I would say the best example I can think of
I don't think she's great still, even though the promos I've got a few problems with.
The example I was going to use was like how Io Sky, we've said it's something as simple as that pose has broke through this glass ceiling in a way where for years you would have thought, yeah, Io Sky's made. She's as high as she could possibly be, and she's the highest. And it's like, oh no, it turns out there was this level above.
Let me take you higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in 2022 and early 2023, we would have just assumed that Jamie Hayter was made. She was locked in. It felt like she was top of the card stuff. She really believed in herself, and matches were delivering constantly. It was, right, there is a challenge to Toni Storm's ace role here, and it's Jamie Hayter mounting it. And then she comes up against Mercedes Moné, like a proper star, mega established, super confident of herself.
Legend in her own time, really, at
absolutely.
This point.
Like the Beyonce line is the sort of thing that she could have definitely delivered without needing to even think of it, because she probably walks around believing it, as you should. And then you're like, right, Jamie Hayter's not there yet, but by beating Mercedes Moné or spending 6 more months in her orbit or in places like it, she will get there too. It's okay to see that somebody isn't as high up the pecking order as you thought, because it means that they've still got further to go. I would argue that's where she's different from Will Ospreay, because Will Ospreay feels at the exact same level as Hangman Page. Jamie Hayter feels a level below, and that's good going into the match.
It is. It absolutely is. Toni Storm then comes out to commentate on the only women's match on Dynamite.
Yeah.
No ladies' night. There is no Wilborn. And I've got a song, but they're becoming increasingly hard to do.
Hey, hang on. Women's wrestling.
So I'm saving it for next week.
Women's wrestling took up 33% of the match time on this show, yeah? So give it some credit.
No, there's only one match.
There was 3 altogether, so 33% of her Dynamite in-ring time was women's wrestling.
Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart. The basic gist is that's a standard 8 to 9 minute women's back and forth, swallowed by a commercial break. AEW must be heating up, however, because this gets a "this is awesome" chant at times when it's decent enough. Shirakawa botches a top rope crucifix bomb, but otherwise is sharper than she was last week and recovers for a good finishing sequence. The finish being Mina wins with a flash seat belt cradle, further establishing the sudden urgency and near-fall drama, because they're going to play on the big package and the cradles. You're going to see a lot of like proper Joshi, like mat dancing, if you like, where 2.9s out the ass from simple wrestling moves will, if this catches on as a storytelling beat that they've planted here, should create something really cool. A quick note on the match before we get to the post-match angle.
Not a lot, really, but like you've hit upon all the key points there. You got more of it in the post match than you got in the match, but Mina contributed her part here.
Mina Shirakawa. because of the way she acted in the post-match.
Yes. That's good stuff.
It's all good stuff.
This was an illustration, as you point out, of like the type of match to expect, because it's dragging Toni Storm a little bit out of the timeless performance of it. And it allows you, when watching this, I was thinking, well, Toni Storm knows actually how to wrestle her way out of this. She's got that similar experience.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to be playing off here, is their shared past,
their
shared background. So the psychology of this match, as far as a TV match to build a match goes, was quite strong.
Yes, like the body of the match was just what it was. It was fine. It was fine. Maybe a little bit sloppy jalopy at certain points, but it really did plant a lot of story beats. And there's a second story beat planted when in the post-match, Mina Bret Hart's Toni Storm's knee, further adding a storyline layer. Functional table setting stuff, well performed. I was like, oh, Mina, what are you doing that for? Come on, have a competitive match.
Yeah.
I had that thought of like, because I love Mina Shirakawa. I think she's great.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, come on.
Yeah,
what we're doing here.
Like they might...
A win at all cost mentality.
That's it. They might make friends at the end, but the situational heel turn's no bad thing, is it?
No.
The match itself.
Especially when it's Toni Storm. I mean, I think people would go both these gals in the building, in the arena, but it can't help to just make sure, Tony's the babyface. She's going to have sympathy, all the rest of it. And now we get to the main event angle. I think we're going to have some conflicting thoughts here.
Yeah, all right, okay.
So the Bucks are ambushed by Joe and Hobbs after initially thinking, well, we're safe, so we're just going to go ahead.
That was really funny.
It was really funny.
That was like Jericho MJF scream stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like...
we're getting out of Dodge.
We're getting out of Dodge here. These
big liars.
These two pussies just can't even give us a fight, so we're just going to get the hell out of here. We're not scared. I mean, it's just them who are scared, if anything.
Yeah.
They are ambushed by Joe and Hobbs, trash cans in tow, as they attempt to leave, sparking a long teaser brawl of anarchy in the arena this Sunday as the squads empty out from the back. The basic gist is very wrestling in the sense that the faces get the best of it before Gabe Kidd, who isn't actually in the match, but we'll preview this, I think. If not, touch on it here, but preview it imminently. Outnumbers Team AEW, or whatever we are calling them. This, frankly, isn't great in the view of this old okie. Because...
Good stuff.
Because, and this is my problem with it, is that...
How good could this podcast be if it spent more time down the gym?
I know. The new Sum 41 Dynamite theme plays over the scene, which kind of thwarted my investment in this, like, all hell breaks loose, but we're going to produce it, brawl. So I think it's contrived because it's one of those, this will happen at the pay-per-view, guys, buy it. It didn't feel remotely anarchic or chaotic or...
If this brawl has music...
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The match version of like that.
Yeah.
If they can brawl to music on a Wednesday, they could probably do it again on a Sunday in an even longer fashion.
It just doesn't feel like there's this... And I know what Anarchy in the Arena is, and it's a good version of very heightened, contrived, formulaic, but so heady and violent and creative that you'll forgive the fact that it doesn't really feel like a Memphisian brawl. You know what I mean? But I'll take that on the Sunday. Can we at least pretend that it's kind of like, oh, Jesus Christ, these guys want to kill each other a bit without producing it to within an inch of its life on the go home. Secondly, this Sum 41 theme has been the Dynamite theme for, 2 weeks, 3?
Yeah.
It's nowhere near iconic enough. It's kind of a big swing to do this. It worked so well on the first Anarchy in the Arena that it's like, right, we can't not do it anymore, and I get that. But it's a big swing to do the soundtrack brawl. I mean, it's not Natural Born Killers, is it?
No.
This pretty flat, I've only heard it twice, Sum 41 theme. It's not Natural Born Killers. It's not Wild Thing. It's not the Final Countdown. Sum 41 doing some... Oh, they're still about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just thought it was real flat. Cry me a river. And then what happens is that Omega and Swerve are sent through tables by the Bucks. Cool spot. Sunday, you'd hope and expect, will be much cooler.
Yeah. Again, to sort of follow up on what was teased in the first brawl.
If it was the original Dynamite theme and it was still on,
Yeah.
And they just never dropped it. I might have gone, oh, yeah. I might have said, boom, let's go ignite. Some fat cock in a flash of light. Boom, bring the boom. If it was like, if they'd never dropped it and they played that, I would have went, you know what? You can have your cake and eat it too, and then eat more cake.
It's familiar though, you know the words. We all remember the words.
Everyone knows them.
Even now we remember those words, those lyrics, you know? So it's like, I think it's just, we had that for longer. What if, you know what the nightmare version of that is? This is Rampage, baby.
I mean, it's just like, it was just closer to Rampage, baby.
I didn't mind this. I just
vibe.
didn't see it coming. I think I was wowed by the element of surprise here a little bit.
I just thought it was so forced and lame.
That's probably why I liked it, wasn't it? Like, well produced, forced and lame pro wrestling. The paying off of the gag between the Young Bucks and Joe, and indeed Samoa Joe's rhetoric early in the show wasn't quite as empty. Like, you touched upon it. I think one of the things I don't like about Samoa Joe is often the time he just talks this hard game, and then it's boring and nothing happens, and he loses a cage match fairly easily.
And some of them are quite sluggish, those matches.
They sure are. This was him promising to do something and seeing it through.
He's going to be amazing on Sunday.
I think so too.
I have no doubt about it whatsoever.
This has restored a bit of faith I have in Joe getting this right on Sunday, which is important to note because, as you mentioned with Gabe Kidd, like, why are you putting the losers in the team, the boring ones? But I think, and I think it does step on our own dicks a bit with the preview, I think this exists for another babyface.
Another
You've
purpose.
Just given, in a match where there's no rules, wrestling does that weird thing where the sixth heel? How dare you? It's lawless.
That would be anarchy.
Yeah, there's music playing and there's people on fire and whatever. There's an extra man on the baddies team.
Yeah.
And that allows for us all to pearl clutch, and then out comes our baby face to save the day. Maybe we'll save that for the preview because there's a few candidates for who could be that. And then you've got this enormous pop, this enormous save, whatever, that makes the match, gives the match its memorable moment, which I would argue, like, they've kind of sort of had to steal them a bit in the last couple of years.
Oh, they've had to go too far.
The first one was
unbelievable moment.
Created an all-time iconic moment here. 2020, it being wrestling, let's be fair to AEW here, it being wrestling, 2023, 2024 is like, how are we going to get close to that? And when you feel that, that's when it starts to feel produced. So I think like they're trying at least to sort of find a compromise between those two.
Yeah.
By delivering a surprise.
Yeah.
Whilst at the same time. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of finding, AEW needs to find a new theme for Dynamite. Pointer Sisters to Sum 41 is wild. It's absolutely insane. It weren't broke, so shouldn't have fixed it in the first place. What was the second one again?
Yeah, I didn't love it.
Dynamite, didn't love it. I've only loved one, and it was the first one. I think Tony Khan might like Sum 41, you know.
They could never, as well, you cannot bring it back now, can you? Because then it's like tunnels, rope colours.
Remember they did it last year where it's like, guys, we're back now. We've got tunnels are back, rankings are back for a week. It's back. Please say it's back.
Yeah.
Please say we're back.
Can it really do that, can you?
No, it would be like, accept. You could also just use your untold riches to just buy an awesome theme that isn't this flat Sum 41 deal. But do you actually like the Sum 41 thing? Am I being too harsh? Let me know in the comments below or on X at WhatCulture WWE.
WhatCulture.
I don't know where WhatCulture.
All shit content all the time.
Yeah, it's a new channel. It's a new channel. It's all about garments, specifically those made from wool. WhatCulture dropping soon. We haven't got the Twitter yet, so if you want to follow us on Twitter,
don't take it because we need that.
It'll be WhatCulture WWE, and whilst you're there on X, you can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow me at M Sidgwick. You can follow our beautifully handsome producer Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas.
Coming up tomorrow, we'll have that preview, all going well. Do you like self-indulgent nonsense that barely pertains to professional wrestling, of which you're a fan?
Then you'll love this podcast,
Then
am I right?
check out the SmackDown preview. That should be coming tomorrow as well. If you missed NXT's review yesterday, and you're not really... I'll watch the AEW stuff, not the NXT. It's worth going out of your way to check out. I promise you that.
And especially, sorry to interrupt, but if you missed it because someone forgot to post it on the YouTube channel, then guess what? It's there right now for your viewing pleasure.
So if you've been wondering, where the hell's that goddamn NXT review podcast? I need it. Well, guess what? Guess what, bitch? It's on there right now.
It's kind of a bit of a teaser of some of the stuff you might find in that podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these podcasts, they come thick and fast. They actually come daily. So subscribe to us for daily wrestling podcast. Thank you very much for Michael Hamflett for joining me today, for Adam Nicholas for producing me today, and all of you for joining me today. And we will see you soon.